For all living things, spring is a time of new birth, new beginnings, and new possibilities. And so it was for Mary and Paul. It was the start of their lifelong love affair. At 19, Paul was still a virgin despite dating a bit here and there. In the spring of '69, he and a few friends decided to go to the big city. They wanted to experience a week of going out, drinking, having fun, and, hopefully, meeting girls. 2 days into their trip, they were lucky enough to hook up with a similar group of girls also out for some fun. Coincidentally, both groups lived in the same county, only a few miles apart. That's how Paul met Mary. Both were the shy ones in their respective groups, and they ended up spending many long hours simply chatting and enjoying each other's company. Their less shy friends engaged in more forbidden activities, drug and sex. Guess what? Their friends parted at the end of the week, but Mary and Paul kept in touch. Back from that little vacation, they met regularly and started dating. 2 months into their new relationship, they finally had a chance to be alone together for the first time. It was at her parents' house while they were away for the weekend. On the couch, they were engaged in some heavy kissing and some petting. One thing led to another, and soon they were heading toward uncharted territory. Paul unbuttoned her blouse and soon had his lips on a woman's breast for the first time in his life. The feel of her soft and warm flesh in his hands and later on his tongue was like tasting a piece of heaven. She was softly moaning at his touch. Paul then felt her hand unbuttoning his pants. She unzipped it and reached for his hard cock. Did I tell you that they were both virgin and inexperienced? And that Paul was a horny 19-year-old boy? Well, now they are laughing at it, but at the time, Paul was embarrassed by what happened next. As soon as she began to rub his cock, he started to come. Spurts of his manly sap erupted from his cock, splashing all over his shirt, her open blouse and her chest. She was totally surprised by the event, and Paul wanted to crawl deep into a hole to hide his embarrassment. Fortunately, Mary started to giggle and compared his cock to Old Faithful, Yellowstone's famous geyser. His cock never deflated and she kept jerking it. By the end of the evening, they had made all the mistakes inexperienced kids do when they make love for the first time. But it was fantastic because they were not virgins anymore. Summer of '73. It seems summers are full of hot, heavy, and damp days. So it is also a season when being naked all day long is not so far-fetched. Mary and Paul had been married for 2 years and were still unable to keep their hands from each other's body. They were always finding a good reason to end up naked in bed, making love or fucking as the mood took them. That summer was the high day of their marriage. They were more experienced lovers, knowing each other very well, and the passion of their love was still very alive. Coming home from a Saturday at the beach where they both swam and lounged around the beach nearly naked, they had only one thing on their mind: fuck each other to complete exhaustion. As soon as she closed the door of their apartment, Mary turned toward Paul, pulled his t-shirt off and then pulled his Speedo swim trunk all the way down. He was already hard as steel, knowing what was in store for him. Grabbing his hard cock, she pulled him toward the closest soft surface, the couch. There she gave him one of her wonderful blowjob. She had perfected 2 nice techniques, to down-throat him and to swallow his cum. She did just that. But within minutes, her expert mouth gave his cock back its firmness. After an oral orgasm induced with his now skilled tongue, they ended up fucking any which ways that took their fancy till the wee hours of the night. And they resumed the next day. They were a horny couple madly in love with each other. Summer is also the season of vacation. When they took their annual vacation, they left work, friends, and family behind. We don't know why they traveled and rented a cabin, because they spent the whole 2 weeks glued to each other. Sometimes he was on top, other time it was Mary turn on top. There was no end to their lovemaking and fucking. Every little bit of reason was enough to start them going. Their summer days and nights were really hot and heavy. Fall of 80. The daylight is failing, days are getting shorter, but everything is also reaching maturity. In autumn, we can feast our eyes on the colors of life fading and reap the rewards of summer's hard work. They are near their 10th year of marriage. The unchecked passion of their youth is gone. It has been replaced by a more complete understanding of each other, a deep love rooted in years of common growth. Despite their desire for children, it just hasn't happened. But nevertheless they are happy, they have each other, and that's what matters. But fall is also the harbinger of death. Like the leaves falling off a tree one by one until it is bare, Mary's life has started to ebb, one small step at a time. Slowly they noticed that Mary was dropping things and had some small little slip of mind. I would like to introduce you to, my husband. Individually each one could be ignored, but soon, like a tree shedding its leaves, these incidents could not be ignored. The doctor's diagnosis was short and direct. Mary had multiple sclerosis. The disease did not immediately affect Mary's mobility, but they were warned that sooner or later, it would. As fall turns into winter, there was gloom over Mary's head. She is always expecting that her motor skills will give up at the most inappropriate moment and with the direst consequences. Paul's constant attention to her needs was also getting on her nerves. Nobody likes to be treated like a child, so he is careful to stay in the background as much as possible, but always ready to pounce on a perceived moment of weakness. And their love life is taking a turn for the worst with each little thing that Mary dropped or forgot. As the disease progressed, Mary started to slide into depressions more infrequently. But every once in a while, the old Mary reappears. One day, Paul was lounging on the couch in the living room when Mary came and stood before him, totally naked with a mischievous smile on her face. "Paul, honey. I know I forgot something this morning. Do you have any idea what it is?" The next moment, she said, "Oh. I forgot to get dressed this morning. Well, we might as well do something about it." She sat down beside him and began to kiss him. Before he knew it, they were gently making love all morning long. At the end, she said, "Thank you for being there for me, honey. It means the world to me." But sometimes, fall brings some cold moments too. During one period when she had more physical and mental problems, her depression worsened and Mary left Paul. They lived separately for 2 months while she faced her own storm of emotions. Paul stayed at the house and Mary lived with her sister. Paul kept in contact daily with her sister. Mary finally accepted the truth when Paul kept telling her that his love for her would always overshadow any problems her disease could create. "Don't think that you are being generous by leaving me, Mary. It's killing me not to have you around," he told her over the phone one evening. She moved back the next day. Winter of 2000. Cold and windy nights followed by short snowy days. That sums up Paul's outlook on winter since he doesn't practice winter sports anymore. It also describes the last 10 years of Paul and Mary's life. Mary's condition continued to deteriorate. She still can move around, but she will soon need a walker. Many little chores, mostly around the kitchen, are now forbidden to her. Leaf by leaf, drop by drop, it was a slow decline. But a decline nevertheless. Mary now had a new doctor. He didn't help, even while trying to be helpful. "You don't have to worry about your life expectancy. MS does have a slight effect, but you will probably still live a good 20 years, if not more," he said, trying to cheer her up. She didn't say a word, got up and left the doctor's office. Paul was on her tail. The silence in the car on the ride back home was icy. Paul didn't inquire on her feelings because he knew her mindset too well. She really doesn't feel good about the strain that the MS put on their lives. She feels embarrassed by something she can't control. She feels inadequate. She feels like a burden. What the doctor said wasn't news to them, as they are well aware of the progression of MS and its impact on the patient life's expectancy. It was only a reminder that her nightmare would last another 20 to 25 years. Paul is now sitting alone in the living room, a few logs burning in the fireplace, not enough to remove the coldness he feels to the core of his body. He is alone for the first time in 29 years. His wife, his soul mate, is no more. 2 weeks before, she came to bed and made love to him, gently, softly and lovingly. She then went to the bathroom and, unknowingly to him, swallowed a bottle full of pills and came back to lie down beside him for one last hug. They fell asleep. Paul woke up to a nightmare, but he can't help remembering that she looked so peaceful in her last sleep. Till death do us part. What could have got better for this story? Comment down below in the comments. Also share your feedback in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that we stay motivated. Go ahead and listen to the next story, which has the perfect ending added to it.